especially want to thank my board colleagues, Supervisor Pete Candland from the Gainesville District and Supervisor Principi from the Woodbridge District. Can you all hear me okay? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, you probably heard me thank Supervisor Candland and Principi for being here, as well as the rest of you for taking time out of your Tuesday afternoon. So I'm Supervisor Jeanine Lawson, Brinsville District, and I was elected about 5 years ago. It will be 5 years since December. I've had the honor of serving as the Brinsville District Supervisor, where much of the Rural Crescent is. So I just want to start first by laying out some background as to exactly how we even got here to where we are in October of 2019 with the Rural Crescent and this preservation plan. This all started 7.5 years ago, in March of 2012. Developer and homebuilder Mark Granville Smith attempted for the third time to break the Rural Crescent policies with the comprehensive plan amendment. Some of you may already be acutely familiar with that, known as the Mid-County Estates. With each rural area discussion, developers, farmers who wish to sell, and land speculators spoke out in favor of dismantling the entire Rural Crescent to allow sewer and higher density. As a result, the Board of County Supervisors, led by Supervisor Noe, initiated a study of the rural policies in May of 2012. Consultants were hired to study the area, gather countywide citizen input, and produce a report, which was presented in 2014. I'm sure many of you have read it. In September of 2016, the board, on a split vote, voted to further study 3 of the recommended tools from that report. Clustering with sewer, transfer of development rights, and purchase of development rights. Planning staff then began to study how these 3 tools could be implemented, and the initial process was rolled out in the summer of 2018, announcing dates for public meetings to be held in the fall of 2018 to gather citizen input. I'm going to sidetrack just for a minute, and then I'll come back to where we are today. I want to remind you that this all started with that developer who had attempted 3 times to break the Rural Crescent policy. And in 2018, the rural study process had begun with the planning department. The same developer formed a group that included speculative landowners, farmers who wish to sell, developers, and the current planning commissioner at large, Don Taylor. The core group met at Mr. Taylor's Windy Knoll Farm, hired a well-known public relations firm that deals with controversial clients such as big energy, mining, and development. For example, the firm had a success story of getting 19,000 homes developed approved in California. It appears the PR firm was paid to distance the developers, farmers who wish to sell their land, and speculators from the anti-Rural Crescent speeches they had been making for 20 years. This would rebranding them and confuse citizens to think that these same landowners were actually now supporting preservation of the rural area. The developers, farmers who wish to sell, and the speculator landlords completely changed their message. Now, instead of demanding that the Rural Crescent be dissolved, these same landowners wanted to, quote, save the Rural Crescent by allowing sewer and higher density. None of this was improper. I want to be very clear. This is America. They have a right to do it. None of it was improper. But really, in order to preserve the Rural Crescent, we're going to develop the Rural Crescent. It makes some sense to me. Citizens, many of you sitting here, were not fooled by the clever attempt of rebranding, especially when the group entirely composed of people who were on the record repeatedly for opposing the Rural Crescent policies. They also sought to influence the policies not just by attending all the meetings like citizens, but also discussing with county staff to make sure that any options or recommendations included the extension of sewer and higher density. This was the exact same desire as when they started to as when they started coming to speak at the Board of County Supervisors meetings, beginning to dissolve the Rural Crescent from 1998 to 2018. So this same group of folks for 20 years was on the record publicly saying, let's get rid of the Rural Crescent, let's dissolve it, dismantle it, bring sewer out there, and then suddenly they want to rebrand themselves as let's preserve the Rural Crescent. So, fast forward to where we are, well, a few months ago. In July, staff presented options for the three tools which shocked and dismayed citizens who have consistently weighed in on rural preservation, understanding that the gatekeeper to density is sewer extension. The staff options presented included double and triple densities within a transitional ribbon inside the rural area and limitless extension of sewer to that area. The public, as expected, was outraged, as was I, and I'm sure I'll let my colleagues speak for their own outrage. Then in September, staff narrowed the options and presented the recommendations once again to the outrage of citizens. The recommendations again included allowing sewer in the rural area and higher density housing. My colleagues and I had serious questions. Why were citizens put through such a cumbersome process with meetings scheduled and canceled? Why were rural comments discouraged from almost every meeting? Why do the options that were presented and recommended represent only the opinions of a small group of developers, farmers, and land speculators? The citizens have spoken loud and clear by a margin of 10-1 for keeping the current rural policies on density and sewer. However, the only goal in the recommendations that citizens have demanded is in the purchase of development rights program. The recommendations were the other recommendations would seriously tax the existing quality of life and would require hundreds of millions in infrastructure improvements in an area which has none. It isn't fair to ask the entire county to pay to build all the infrastructure to the benefit of few landowners. These recommendations contain changes that would impact residents countywide with clogged roads, further overcrowded schools, and overburdened police and fire. Developing the Rural Crescent not only destroys our green space, but takes financial resources away from other parts of the county. And with that, I will turn it over to Supervisor Candland.
Thank you very much. Okay. I'm here today because it's time we draw a line in the sand and stop the out-of-control housing development policy that prevails here in Prince William County. Earlier this morning, I heard from a constituent who reached out to express her ongoing frustration with having to endure the gridlock we see each and every morning on I-66. This increases her child care costs and robs her of important time with her family. As we are talking here today, we have students at Battlefield High School, Patriot, Freedom, and many other schools around the county sitting in an overcrowded classroom or a trailer and having to compete for teacher time to better understand the lesson of the day, which will impact their ability to achieve a higher score on the SAT. Let's be clear, the assault on the Rural Crescent is real, and I wish it was just about simply fighting to protect the beauty of the natural areas in our county. But it's not. It's a much bigger issue about who really is in charge of land use policy in Prince William County. For decades, politicians have allowed developers and their campaign contributions to control county policy and influence board decisions. And let me emphasize, this is not a battle between Republicans and Democrats. Our current chairman is a Republican who originally ran on a platform of controlling over development, but that did not last long. We see candidates today on both sides of the aisle who value campaign cash over protecting the people they wish to serve. This is about doing the right thing, not being instruments for the development industry that pours money into campaigns, and not letting them decide who sits on the dais in the McCoart building. Enough is enough. The latest strategy of the housing developers is to bust open the Rural Crescent so they can build more homes. This will make traffic and classroom overcrowding worse in every part of Prince William County. Because make no mistake, supporting more building in the Rural Crescent will have cascading impacts that will add hundreds of more students to our schools and thousands of more cars to our roads. Now, I know the supporters of the plan to dismantle the Rural Crescent are doing so under the guise of, quote, protecting open space and, quote, economic development. But those are just focus group tested phrases for a cash grab to build more homes. For too long, special interest groups have enjoyed a willing ear from county politicians and county staff. And for too long, campaign dollars have dictated votes here in Prince William County. And what has it delivered? The most overcrowded classrooms in the Commonwealth, packed roads with some of the worst commutes in the country, and tax bills that keep on going up every year that acutely impact low-income families and retirees on fixed incomes. I'm here because we need to stop this process that will benefit a few lucky winners, while everyone else will just feel the negative impacts. The Rural Crescent is a valuable resource we have in Prince William County, and one that we must protect. But this isn't just about what happens in those rural areas. This is about the impacts that more homes have on our schools, and our roads, and our public safety infrastructure, and on our taxes. While it's important that we stop this process that we're talking about today with this resolution that we're going to introduce, this is just the first step in addressing our badly broken housing policy. The Board of County Supervisors has to stop approving every housing development that is slapped down in front of it. It's not enough for supervisors to only oppose new housing projects that aren't in their districts, or that are in their districts. Each one of us must take a stand across the county. From the Potomac River to the Bull Run Mountains, from Dale City to Manassas, and everywhere in between, the vast majority of people we represent are begging the Board of County Supervisors to limit any new housing until we can catch up with our infrastructure. And now we have a bond referendum that does nothing more than make the taxpayers pay for the roads that will help developers build more homes. The county staff and housing developers will make the bond referendum sound like the solution to all of our traffic congestion issues. And they will demonize anyone who speaks against it. But we've seen this play out before. Over a decade ago, the Board of County Supervisors promised citizens that if they would vote for a road bond, that the board would build the needed capacity. And what did the board do with that trust? They approved more and more homes. Any additional capacity the taxpayers paid for was gobbled up by developers. Now they want us to do it again. We must stop this vicious cycle in Prince William County. We have to take a stand. The future of our county is at stake. This is just not a throwaway punchline. It is the stark reality. Do we continue to go down the path of overcrowded roads and jammed schools? Or do we make decisions that will look at the long-term strategy for Prince William County? A strategy that removes an antiquated school funding system, that stops tax breaks for some of the largest companies in the world, that makes much-needed infrastructure investments, and implements a housing policy that prioritizes the people that live here and pay the taxes. Let me be clear, I believe we should work with the development and data center communities. They can be strategic partners, but right now there is no partnership. It's about the board being advocates of the development and data center special interests, not advocates for the citizens. It has to stop. I will not sit idly by and watch the board make the same mistakes over and over again. Prince William County, as many of you know, is a wonderful place to live, work, and raise a family. I feel blessed to be raising my family in this wonderful community. But our quality of life is under threat if we continue policies that overcrowd our roads, overcrowd our schools, and increase the tax burden on those who are elected to protect protect them. Thank you. I'll now introduce Supervisor Principi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can everybody hear me? Excellent, excellent. Welcome to the James J. McCoart Building, the People's House. Thank you all for coming. My name is Frank Principi, and I represent Woodbridge on the Prince William Board of County Supervisors. In my 30 years involved in local government, the only constant has been growth. It's happened all around us, different kinds of growth, residential, industrial, etc. We now are facing a set of policy choices that have united Democrats and Republicans, East and West, to come forward with two resolutions tonight that will hopefully address some of the concerns associated with the sprawl and crawl that's being proposed by staff and others in our community in the Rural Crescent. The first resolution is a resolution we'll introduce tonight, and we'll add it to the agenda for our next meeting, and hopefully vote on it next time. And that is a resolution to suspend any and all efforts associated with any changes to the comprehensive plan, to our policies associated with Rural Crescent. That's a big, bold move on the part of several of us on the board. And as you know from the math, we need to get to 5 in order to get that approved. And we'll see if we can get to 5 when we vote on it. The other resolution is really the antidote to the Rural Crescent, the threat that residential development poses for the Rural Crescent. And that is the North Woodbridge Small Area Plan that is on the agenda tonight. It was 2016 when we launched, the Board of Supervisors launched the Small Area Plan for North Woodbridge. And now, fast forward to tonight, we actually have it on the agenda for a vote. The Small Area Plan is effectively 290 acres immediately adjacent to the BRE, Virginia Railway Express Woodbridge Station, Interstate 95, Yonkers River, in the most northeastern part of Prince William County. And what we're proposing in the Small Area Plan is very, very significant residential, office, hotel, and retail development in a very compressed area. We think that the more appropriate location for development is North Woodbridge, not Rural Crescent. We need to do a better job of protecting the rural character of our community, the local economy, the environmental threats posed by additional residential development. And so let me just say that these two resolutions that will be, one introduced and one voted on tonight, are extremely complementary. With growth as the constant here in Prince William County, none of us are proposing that we stick our head in the sand and that we ignore it or that we try to stop it. Rather, we need to redirect it based on our policies and our budget choices in a way that is smart, it is mixed use, not simply residential. And quite frankly, as Supervisor Candland mentioned, with the austere budgets that we've had over the last several years and the tax rate that we have, we simply cannot afford the critical infrastructure needed in Prince William County. We can't afford what is needed in Woodbridge or in eastern Prince William County. To think that we are going to have the resources available to be able to build roads and schools and water and sewer and bridges and parks and libraries and everything else in the Rural Crescent is really a nonsensical approach to future growth of this community. So we ask you to join us tonight and going forward to express your opinion about both of these resolutions, to get on board and to support these, talk to our colleagues that are not here present in the press conference, talk to our colleagues about what you think and why this is so important to you and your families and your businesses and your farms. And with that, I believe we'll take questions.
there is one program that we want to keep alive, and that's the purchase of development rights. Oh, yes, thank you, Pete. Thank you very much. We have some folks here that are representing some active, engaged civic organizations, community advocates. They're dynamos, in my opinion, and I would like to offer the opportunity for them to come up and speak. I left the list over there on the chair, but Elena, Coalition to Protect Prince William County, Kim Hosen with Conservation Alliance. Is there anybody else here that, yes, Citizens for Balanced Growth, Ralph and Kathy Stevenson. If you would like to come up, I'm sorry. And Martin Jeter, of course, with Midco. Would any of you like to come up and give any remarks before we run into our 2 o'clock meeting? Is there anything that would like to be shared, commented? Come on up.
My name is Elena Schlossberg, and I'm the Executive Director for the Coalition to Protect Prince William County. I'm also the Vice Chair for Prince William Conservation Alliance. And first, I would like to thank Supervisor Lawson and Principi and Candland for your leadership on protecting the Rural Crescent. The Rural Crescent isn't just an urban growth boundary that has proven itself time and time again. It's a way to make Prince William County exceptional. Exceptional. I come from Fairfax, and I can tell you there's no place like Prince William County. We have our rural, our semi-rural, our suburban, and our urban areas. And that only survives with a robust Rural Crescent. The Rural Crescent is here for everyone. And actually, Frank, you had something great on your website that I just wanted to share. What Supervisor Principi said was every dollar spent in the Rural Crescent is a dollar taken away from infrastructure that is needed in the East End. The Rural Crescent is not just about protecting the environment. It's about how do we grow as a county. And it is critical that we protect the Rural Crescent. It's critical that we grow smartly, like you see the t-shirts. And we are on a precipice here in Prince William County. And the precipice is how do we move forward? And do we want to look like Fairfax? No offense, Fairfax, that's where I came from. Or Arlington? No. We want to look like Prince William County. And it is a beautiful place to live, and we should protect it. And I hope that everybody will robustly come tonight to support the resolution. And I just want to thank everyone. And I want to add, this is not a partisan issue. Land use and protecting the Rural Crescent should bring everybody together. And we expect our elected leaders to say what they mean and mean what they say. This is not conservative or liberal. This affects everyone.